And the CEOs should be there to witness. Welcome. Has been signed, please. Makofi. Serikali ikinyuma ni chakula. Thank you, Your Excellency. Wow. Makofi kwao. Expect a nice smile because PC is not
Since you have signed this contract, I will be sitting with that contract. Luckily, my people of Nakuru County, God gave me a little wisdom. When I got them vetted, I never gave anybody a 5-year contract. I gave my CECs and my CEOs only 2.5 years. I told them, before this wananchi wanifukuze, kwanza mimi nitawafukuza hao. Unaona venye wanataka mfukuzwe? So the point is, lazima mfanye kazi. Mimi nimewaambia mara mingi, Nakuru has a history of one-term governors, and because I intend to go for 2 terms, God willing, I know the only way the citizens of Nakuru will extend my contract is if I work. And I will only be able to work if the ministers, the CECs and CEOs are doing their work. So before nifukuzwe after 1 term, mtakuwa mshaenda zamani. Mwendete uruta polisi inywe. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this ceremony. I'm actually very happy to do this, and I must apologize. All this was ready weeks ago, but here we are. Today we can confirm the milestone that Nakuru County has made in manifesting our commitment to improving service delivery, because this is one major step towards that direction. Across the county, men and women, boys and girls, organized community representative groups, the private sector, religious institutions are looking up to us to deliver on the promises that we made and continue to make. I've spent the last year focusing on completing projects and interventions that began in the previous administration. Because as we said when we came in, we would not begin new projects before completing those that had been started, because really that would be a waste of resources and that would not be very smart. So we've spent the last year doing that. And we also focused now on our attention towards starting new projects as required by our annual development plan 2022-2023. The financial year 2023-2024 is one dedicated to rolling up sleeves and getting down to the weeds. Unfortunately, in some of the projects, the weeds are too far into the crop that the resolution of implementation challenges has taken more time than anticipated. In Lara Ward, Njoro Sub-County, for example, there is a hospital whose construction has stalled since 2009. Currently, the issues have been resolved, the contractor is on site, and it is expected that citizens will enjoy services in this financial year. This means that project development challenges can be resolved if the management takes decisive and relenting action. This is what this performance contracts expects. And so that's an example of one project. There are very many across the county, some that have been stalled for 10 years, some projects that were completed but never, maybe for example a dispensary completed but never operationalized. So we want to make sure that that does not happen. So between the months of May and July 2023, I have directed the County Secretary and the Department of Public Service to lead the process of development of annual development work plans. These plans would guide the implementation of the priorities contained in the first year of the County Integrated Development Plan, in addition to my manifesto. So I'm happy to report to you that a robust and heavily engaging process was undertaken that led to the development of departmental work plans in each of the 10 departments. These work plans are part of the package of performance contracts that we have signed here today. This evening at Mihango in Waseges, a group of young men will gather for some social time-passing banter, and the topic of this ceremony will come up. The young men will ask themselves this question: the governor is talking about her plans for delivering services, but she's not telling us how far she has gone by today, September 14th, which is nearly 3 months since the financial year began. I'm now inserting myself in that conversation. I want to tell the young men this evening, as they speak, and all of you here who will probably have that conversation, that the implementation of this performance contract began on the 1st of July. I have a team of economists from the Department of Finance and Economic Planning that is very busy collecting data to answer that question. I will be accountable and show you the results as we move along this financial year. I can promise you that. The performance contract includes the absorption of funds. The controller of the budget has written to the county government expressing the need to absorb more over the findings of an assessment on the absorption of funds between the financial year 2018 and 2022. We have rolled over as a county for that period between 2018 and 2022. The county government has not absorbed the funds very well and has rolled over projects on average about 5.7 billion in the development budget every year, which is really scary. So a farmer in Amalo has taken our Pyrethrum Revival Initiative seriously and is preparing to reap a bumper harvest and improve the livelihood of her family. The inability of the county government to absorb resources may be the difference between the farmer succeeding or failing. All members of the county executive committee must see this inability to absorb resources as a missed opportunity to provide services to the citizens. With this contract, I'm putting my county executive committee on notice to ensure that the development budget is 100% implemented within the financial year. No ifs or buts. To take this further, traditionally, budget absorption has been scored by checking the payment status. So if a borehole in Kongasis has been sunk, is evaluated at 100% complete. This is not my interpretation of completeness. In my evaluation, I will seek to find out how many people are accessing water from that borehole. How many of our children are accessing ECD education because that school was built and operationalized. But the point being, as I've also moved along across the county, I have found very many boreholes that were sunk. In fact, Waseges is a very great example because I was speaking with a member of the county assembly and Maunarok. And they tell me, for example, Waseges, there are 8 boreholes that were sunk. The work of that was complete and paid. So in our books, if we were just to look at that, we would say the work is complete. But they were not equipped, so nobody is drinking that water. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, really, we should not be counting that as completed work. Because and until the communities are able to drink that water, then we cannot say that we have completed that work. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of just projects across that are of no value to the community, yet we have paid and the work has been done, but they are not useful. So I want to make sure and to tell you here this afternoon that that shall not happen in this administration. The performance of the performance contract will also check on the impact of community empowerment programs. So I will expect the CECM for agriculture, for example, to show me not just how many avocado seedlings he has distributed, but how has the livelihood of the farmers improved as a result of our avocado program. So that you don't just say here in the office Because I just came from giving about 45 million worth of seedlings in pyrethrum, in avocados. And we're extending that to potatoes and all that. So it's not just about on the books that we spend 45 million on seedlings and they were sent to the communities. We are going to follow up and make sure that we are helping the farmers with our extension officers to make sure that they are planting the proper crop, they are doing it properly, and also helping them now with the Department, for example, of Trade, to make sure that the markets are done well, so that the farmers are also able to sell their produce, so they don't have to rely on brokers and therefore make nothing despite their very hard work. So what I'm saying here is this time it's going to be a different mindset. We are going to think outside the box, and we are going to do this holistically, not just saying we tendered for this, we got the seedlings, we send them out there to the farmers, and now we are done. No, we must make sure the farmer is being able to get money in their pockets, like we said when we campaigned, out of these many programs. So this performance contract will also look at the absorption of externally mobilized resources. The Nakuru County government has performed maybe perhaps not too well in the externally funded projects and programs. Take, for example, the Afraha Stadium. The stadium had an initial completion timeline of 64 weeks. By the time of my assumption of office, 104 weeks ago, the construction was only at 37%. So the stadium should have been completed in 64 weeks, but when I came in at 104 weeks later, only 37% of that stadium had been done. And by the way, the money was there because it was a World Bank funded project. So I'm happy to report that after I've come into the office in the last 52 weeks, I have pushed this project. There are many times I have shown up over there unexpectedly to see how it's going. I have formed a committee that meets and goes on the ground every other week. We have pushed, and in that time period, I have gone, in 52 weeks now, I have gone from 37% to 90% completion. And this was done by the same contractor on the same terms. The only difference is the level of supervision. So you understand, you're not just giving me a job to stay in this office and just have a big office there and say I'm the governor of Nakuru County. My work, you will be seeing me as you have been seeing me on the ground and making sure that work is moving, and contractors who do not take up sites and continue with jobs, or contractors who are doing shoddy jobs, will not be able to do any work in this county. So we must not lose energy, and we must keep going. And every day that we lose on completing these projects is a day that the people of Nakuru County are not able to enjoy the services of this county. With these performance contracts, every CCM is expected to ensure that all projects, whether funded by the Exchequer or by development partners, are completed within the timelines. So for the CCMs, that is also not my work. I am not going to be running around trying to make sure that a borehole was completed. So that must be your work, and you must understand your work. And I must not keep asking, where is the hospital? What have we done as far as the hospital? Has it been equipped? Is it operational? Do we have the nurses that we require in there? So that is your work, and you must make sure, since you have signed this contract, I will be sitting with that contract. Luckily, my people of Nakuru County, God gave me a little wisdom. When I got them vetted, I never gave anybody a 5-year contract. I gave my CECs and my CEOs only 2.5 years. I told them, before this wananchi wanifukuze, kwanza mimi nitawafukuza hao. Unaona venye wanataka mfukuzwe? So the point is, lazima mfanye kazi. Mimi nimewaambia mara mingi, Nakuru has a history of one-term governors, and because I intend to go for 2 terms, God willing, I know the only way the citizens of Nakuru will extend my contract is if I work. And I will only be able to work if the ministers, the CECs and CEOs are doing their work. So before nifukuzwe after 1 term, mtakuwa mshaenda zamani. Mwendete uruta polisi inywe. Agriculture is a very key sector in my manifesto. We are just commencing the implementation of a large program called NAVCDP. I'm now directing the CECM for Agriculture to conduct a study and document the success, the challenges, failures, and lessons from its predecessor program. NARIB, too many acronyms, NARIB. This report must be submitted to me in the next 30 days, CEC for Agriculture. We will use this information to program the next program better and make sure that we produce more impactful results. Because sometimes we must also be able to give our input in these development partner programs. And the reason I say that is you might find we have a development partner coming in here in conjunction with us as the government, and you hear the amount of money that was put in a program, but when you look at the results, they don't match. Maneno kwa ground is different. So we must make sure as you see that what we get for a program, we have also tailored it to our county. You know, agriculture is devolved. So we must also have more input in making sure that what we are doing for that money, because it is not free money, it has an impact. For example, we might be told do B, but in our own estimation, because we are the ones on the ground, we might say a little amendment of B might be what makes sense for the county. And that is what we shall do. Agriculture is devolved. The president of this republic, if there is one agenda he has taken and really is making sure happens well, is agriculture. So we cannot let him down. Nakuru County in fertilizer, and as our county commissioner representative has stated, we are actually in the process of distributing that, and my work, the president has given us to us, has brought it down to us at 2,500. When we came into office, a bag of 50 kg fertilizer was about 7,000 shillings. So the other planting season, the president was able to bring it down to 3,500. Now we are at 2,500, Waziri, we were number 3 in Kenya in use of fertilizer this last planting season. Our farmers bought about 320,000 bags, and I was really excited, and I thought we were doing so well. Until I met with the president one day a few weeks ago, and I was telling him, you know, boss, I was number 3, I'm doing very well, now I want to be number 2. And he laughed and told me, do you know what number 2 did as in terms of bags? Number 2 was Uasin-Gishu, which is smaller than Nakuru County, by the way. And we are both farmers, so you also cannot say that we are not farmers and they are farmers, yeah? A lot of our people are farmers. Waziri, Uasin-Gishu farmers bought 1 million bags of fertilizer. So Nakuru County this round, nataka we do more. And the way we do more is making sure it goes to the lowest level near the wards in almost anywhere, so that the farmers are able to get it quickly, easier. And also we have been told, and I want, as you move around, make sure you tell the farmers, if possible, because now it has come down the price. Instead of using 1 bag for an acre, use 2 bags, so that instead of harvesting 14 bags of maize in that 1 acre, you now get 22 bags of maize. Hapo ndio siri iko. So please help us, and I'm saying all that because the agriculture agenda is very close to my heart for this county. You are doing well, but I want you to do better. There is room for improvement. Sawa sawa. So make sure we do even better. The performance contract also has measures of development index. There is a legal requirement with a good reason that 30% of our budget must be allocated to development. This is because the development quotient develops livelihoods, enables business, facilitates access to government services, and through this performance contract, I expect every CCM to support their department to achieve its development recurrent ratio. Skizeni, my friends. Number 1, the reason I will not renew your contract, now ujue hapo hiyo leo, if at the end of the financial year your department has not done its 30% share towards development, you are as good as gone. Because we cannot just be using our budgets for recurrent. Sindio hiyo? We must do development for the county. So if all you are doing in your budget ni trips za sijui which hotel, uko Mombasa, uko Naivasha, sijui uko wapi, ni chai na mandazi, actually you better resign before I get to you. So development is critical, and we must be. So 30% is what the law says. Nataka hata mjaribu ifike 40%. Sawa, as a department, kindly have an eye and focus on development beyond and above everything else. Yes, I know we must pay salaries, we must do all that, but we cannot also spend all our money on recurrent and not be conscious and deliberate and intentional about development. So we will ensure the traditional habit of only spending recurrent budget is stopped. And again, I really cannot overemphasize this. Again, my dear friends, that will be my one big measure of measuring you as a CCM. If your department, you have not done development, tafadhali, unaniwestia time, you are wasting the time of the people of Nakuru, and we do not need you around. So the recurrent budget generally is often about the team, travel, salaries, and all that sort of stuff. So I expect more attention to the development funds, which have a direct bearing on the socio-economic development of our people. We cannot have farm produce rotting in the market while there is a road infrastructure budget that lies unused while we spend more time getting from one meeting to the other. By the way, you guys will notice, I'm not saying you don't do meetings, but sipendi hizo vitu. At you always one meeting to the other, one meeting to the other. You hardly in your office thinking, being strategic, leading your department and making sure that work is being done. So, hapa lazima mufanye kazi, my friends. So there must be a robust attention to the implementation of programs in the development budget to facilitate business and to access to services. The performance contract measures asset management. I will be keen to ensure that every CCM protects government property. Land and buildings are held in trust for the community. Yet most government land has no title deeds. Waziri wa mashamba nimekuona pia. We cannot have land. In fact, the members of the county assembly have brought that to my attention. There were pieces of land that were bought by the previous administration for whatever different things. Maybe to set up a health center, to do a borehole, to do a market. So those pieces of land were bought, the money was paid, but there are no titles. So Waziri, that is one of your major ones. Wewe mkiwa na Catherine. There better be titles. Also, there's a big cry in our county, as we know. We have a lot of shambas that do not have titles. So make sure we are also working very closely with the national government to make sure that title deeds are being processed. Waziri wa mashamba ametoka Nakuru County. So there is no excuse why we should not be doing very, very well in that agenda. The performance contract, every CECM is expected to have a program on the mapping of all government assets, processing ownership documents, and taking physical custody. And by the way, we must start fencing public land, our county land. Yes, serikali. Because once you leave it open like that, encroachment starts to happen, and the next thing mtu ameanza kujenga, the next thing then we have to fight them in court to get our land back. In the meantime, we need to build hospitals, we need to build boreholes, we need to do markets, and we need to do all those things. And it is not possible when these have been taken. So every department, I was talking to Waziri of Lands, but in general, I'm sending this to all the departments. It is you to know what is within your department that is public, that is a public asset, so that we can make sure that we take physical ownership. And then on top of that, sasa hawa ni mawaziri wangu. On the flip side, I'm putting all grabbers on notice. I have served them notice. I will not allow you to take possession of facilities that are meant for public users and public good for your private use and comfort. I will treat you as criminals in Nakuru County. Sasa wacha niwaambie, President alisema aje? Mambo? Ni mangapi? Na tuko enzi ya devolution. So I am also devolving the mambo ni matatu to Nakuru County. Kwa hivyo mjue, if you are a thug, a grabber of public facilities, my friends, mutaenda kugrabu kwingine, sio Nakuru County. So we shall treat you as criminals, take you through the criminal justice system and repossess all grabbed property. Kwa hivyo wananchi, mkisikia nimebomoa mavitu usiku, mnashikilia mimi. Si ndio hiyo? Kwa hii maneno ya kupembelezana ndio inaleta shida. You know, Tukibembelezana sana inaleta shida. Wengine wanatupeleka huko kwa makoti, wanatukalisha miaka na miaka. In the meantime we are support. Nimesikia wamegrab mpaka police station, my friend. Wamegrab mpaka kwa chief. Wamekuwa so bold, wamegrab mpaka kaburi. So for anyway, everybody must have a hype man. Naona wangu wako hapa. So for my public service, rest assured that I will not allow you to facilitate. Na by the way, kukiwa kuna mtu kwa ofisi yangu mwenye anasaidia kufacilitate grabbing, your days in the county government of Nakuru are numbered. And by the way, I am a believer in not just firing you, but in firing and prosecuting you. Because you cannot be the one you have been entrusted na possession na kusaidia mali ya umma, and it is you helping in make sure that hiyo mali imegrabiwa. Hiyo hatutacheza na hatutacheka na nyinyi. I smile a lot, but I'm also wild. Mujue tu hivyo. So any land grabbed will be repossessed, and any civil servant found to have facilitated such grabbing by issuing allotment letters, processing title deeds, and even approving the construction of buildings in public property without due diligence will be held accountable. Na kuna mkora moja anaishi hapa Milimani. Let me take this opportunity. He is a former mayor of this town. Anaitwa sijui Nteri. He has been using my name fraudulently and even making phone calls and acting like it is me I'm speaking to him on the other side. And selling allotment letters for block 19 in Milimani. The next thing, Derry awache hiyo maneno, sasa nasikia amekimbia mpaka anauza affordable housing. Anachukua pesa ya affordable housing. The next thing, aambiwe asipowache hiyo maneno, the next contact will be a DCI at his door. Kwa hivyo nyinyi watu wa Nakuru mjue mimi siuzi mashamba, mimi sina allotment letters napatiana, na hata wewe ukienda kupatiana pesa shauri yako. Follow due process. But wakora wakome, na wanikome. My hype people wako bado. To demonstrate the severity of this matter, my government has a 5.6 billion project in partnership with KFW. Msikize kidogo hapa. To address the perennial drainage and sewerage problems in Nakuru City. 5.6 billion from 5.6 billion from KFW. Hiyo ni ya huko German. And it's about helping us do sewerage, drainage, na mnajua tuna shida sana. Right now, in fact, the El Nino is coming and I'm getting worried. That is why you're seeing us doing the drainage all over the place. But we have gotten help to put this place in order. So, can you imagine, I'm so sad to inform you that the land where phase 2 and phase 3 of this project were to be implemented has been grabbed by private developers, so we are unable to continue with the development. That is how bad this is. So, the county government allowed previously the perennial sewage problem to persist because of a very few special individuals who decided to prioritize their own needs. This is unacceptable and it has to stop. Na kama unajua umejenga on top of a drainage, my friend, utaamuka siku moja ukute nyumba yako imemwagwa tu, imebomolewa. Sasa tusukumane huko mbele, si ndio hiyo? But hautasumbua wananchi. You have built on top of a drainage, so their areas are being flooded. I have a few issues hapa section 58 that have happened like that. So we shall not tolerate, and I am saying that today because na issue notice. Leo ni notice na wapatia. The next one, mjue mimi ni governor wa mahasla. Mimi ni governor wa mahasla. So aside from fixed assets, this performance contract will also measure the movable assets. Let me talk about vehicles for a minute. This is one highly misused government asset. When I assumed office a year ago, I found a situation where vehicles had stayed in garages for years and no one cared. Without a tracking system, we could not account for how many vehicles we had. One vehicle has been in a garage in Kericho County since 2015. About a year ago, a citizen tagged me on social media showing me a county vehicle that was photographed selling water. Anazunguka tu anauza maji na gari yangu ya county. Na mimi nikifuta watu mnaanza kusema sijui nini. Wakwende. So guys on the outside. So with this performance contract, I expect the Treasury to implement a tracking mechanism. Actually, when I first came in, munakumbuka, I was a speaker of this county. Na a speaker here with me today. Now, by the way, we work together. Naona hapa tu tunazunguka tu, because I worked together. I was the speaker and he was my member at the time. Now he's the speaker of my county assembly. Na nishikilia vizuri sana, na mshikilia vizuri, so that we have a county that works. Si mumeona hakuna kelele Nakuru County? Because bila kelele kazi itafanyika. So what I did when I was in the assembly then, we made sure we had a tracking system we had a system for fuel, I remember. Na ikatoka from, we were using about 1 million shillings per month, ikaenda mpaka 500,000. Sasa hapa nimekuja, nimesema hakuna, hata fuel tunaweka a fuel system, ni card sasa. Unaenda na hiyo card, hauwezi weka hiyo mafuta kwa gari yako private. Na pia tutajua hii gari yenye unaweka mafuta, unakunywa mafuta every other day, kweli unapeleka hii gari wapi? So nilipoanza hivyo, kwanza wakaanza fitina, ati sasa tukiwa na hizi ya kadi, sijui ambulance usiku inakwama kweli, wewe haufanyi planning. See, you should know an ambulance needs money, needs fuel in the tank. Sasa wakora hawa wanataka niziwachilie so that waendelee kukula pesa ya mafuta. Hapo pia nimefunga. Tracking system ya magari nimefunga. Kwa hivyo mkisikia siasa kidogo, mjue nimekuja kufunga mifereji hapa. Si ndio hiyo? But not the ones who are here. Hawako hapa. Those wakoras are not here. But naambia hawa ili muende mjue. In your department msianze kuniletea ati why this cannot be done. You must find a way to do it. Me, I don't know no. Na mutanielewa hivyo. I don't know the word no. So when I say we are going this direction, make it work. When I say now we are having a tracking system, make it work. Because the reason you don't want a tracking system, unataka wewe unaenda kwa bar jioni na gari yangu ya county. Hiyo haiwezekani. Na nyinyi wananchi mkiwakuta kwa bar na hizo gari, mnakataa itoke hapa mpaka polisi yakuje. So with this performance contract, I expect the Treasury to implement a tracking mechanism. Vehicles meant for service delivery should only be used for service delivery. Sawa sawa? Haya, the performance contract will very carefully and systematically monitor service delivery. The annual work plans that accompany this performance contract have outlined each of the projects contained in the first year of implementation of the CIDP, which also includes the priorities outlined in my manifesto. The monitoring process will score performance in the absolute. The score will be against 2 criteria: done or not done, with no allowance for excuses. Sasa mjue, as of today, excuses Nakuru County zimeisha. Si ndio hiyo? So there is no room and no allowance for excuses in this performance contract. This will be the case for the routine core department mandate and all cross-cutting issues such as gender, youth, disability, disaster management, and environmental sustainability. This also goes for documentation and handling of public complaints. In short, everything that is contained in the performance contract will be measured. To improve service delivery, I have made a commitment to the full automation of government services and processes. Mumesikia full automation hapa county. Automation, by the way, one of the good thing, nimepeana namba yangu huko nje. Kila mtu ako na namba yangu. I may not be able to answer all the time, but I try. Maybe I'm better with messages, but I try. Somebody tagged me, one of my hospitals, mtu ameenda, ananitag na picha, ameniandikia picha, inasema, no M-Pesa, only cash allowed, my friends. Jackie, are you even aware of that? You are aware? See, those people should be fired. How do you write there? At no cash no M-Pesa allowed, only cash. Huh? Si nikusema hii pesa haifiki? Na kuna vile we have an M-Pesa, that pay bill number that helps put everything in that bank account and all that. Sasa mtu ameandika hapo ati no M-Pesa payment, only cash. Surely. Ni medical? Si mnasikia wananchi wanasikia, wanajua. Jackie you here? Wamesema huko ni medical. Kwa hivyo tukitoka hapa uende make sure everything is not, there is no cash handling. So nimesema in short, everything is contained in that performance contract. To improve service delivery, we are going to full automation. So we'll not only improve efficiency and effectiveness, but also promote accountability and transparency, which are critical to good governance. All CECMs are directed to inject innovation and creativity into the automation of all services within your departments. In January 2023, I will appoint a task force to spearhead public sector reform. I appointed a task force to spearhead public sector reform in a bid to spur the productivity of public service. With this performance contract, I expect the CEC member for public service to provide leadership to the development and implementation of context-specific human resources policy and procedures manual that will enable the public service to have equitable access to training and development opportunities, have the requisite tools of trade and a favorable working environment. Meritocracy promotion must happen promptly. Umeelewa? Hiyo lazima happen promptly. Watu wasi stagnate. Si ndio hiyo? I know there was a time kulikuwa na fujo, terminate contracts. My friend, contracts are just that, contracts. Contract ikiisha, you can either be brought back ama unaweza sema contract imefanya nini? Na Nakuru muelewe, no contract will be or no promotions will be done without merit. Hauwezi enda tu kwa kazi, wananchi wamekuja kwa hospitali, you are not attending to wananchi, alafu unafikiria tu ati nitaongeza tu contract yako. Hakuna. You must work. Si ndio hiyo? Mimi wa mama hawawezi niambia ati wameenda maternity, wako huko, they are trying to be help, mpaka mtoto mama amejifungua mtoto kwa waiting room, and then ati mnapiga makelele hapa nimekataa ku extend contract. Contract will be extended when you show merit. When you show you are working for the people. When you have good ethics. Si ndio hiyo? Kama ni kazi lazima ufanye. Hakuna mchezo hii county. Watu wavae seat belt. Because we are taking off bila mchezo kabisa. So that annoys me when people think it's just automatic. It is not automatic. You must prove that you are working for people, your intentions are right there, you are working hard for them, and then we extend contracts. But it is not just automatic extension when you're not providing the services that you are hired to provide. Mumeelewa? Haya. So so for this to happen, the prompt promotions where they are due, and that must happen because that is one of my big promises that I made, and we shall do that. Now on your side, just do the work and we'll do the promotions. We'll make sure they happen. So for this to happen, every department must plug into the public sector reform agenda and be held accountable for the staff working in their department. Every emerging human resource management challenge must be nipped in the bud before it degenerates into low productivity, which would affect service delivery. County executive members, today you have signed a performance contract, and this is what binds you and me together. At this moment, direct the performance contracting committee chaired by the county secretary to provide me with the quarterly progress reports with evidence of what has been achieved. I welcome all our strategic and development partners to support the implementation of these performance contracts. With your support, we will ensure that the contract that I have with the citizens of Nakuru is achieved. Because you have the contracts with me, but I have a performance contract na wananchi wa Nakuru County. So I once again reiterate that performance is non-negotiable. Performance is non-negotiable CECMs. So thank you very much. I wish you well. Your performance is what will determine whether you proceed with me in the next other part of our term, whether we stay together or whether we part ways and find other people to work for the people. But I'm sure they will work. I am sure they will work. Kwa hivyo asante sana, Mungu awabariki, and we continue working. Thank you so much. Asante.